Morning and welcome to another edition of XFeed, where I go across the timeline to find the craziest stories. Talking about collectibles as per usual, but we have John Cena, who is on the farewell tour. So nobody's really not aware that's going on, but we'll take a look at what the cards in terms of pricing are doing and what the cost is, because I don't know how many of you have ever looked up wanting to buy a John Cena trading card, but collectibles on the rise. We'll look over that. Gary V on the news, going on national television, talking about collectibles. Found an old clip from Alexis Ohanian as well. Not going to play the Alexis clip, but we're going to go over the Gary V one because it's actually quite a long segment, but also some of these industries just need to have a cheerleader of some sort, and there's not that many people on kind of a mainstream way. You can get invited back to TV, so Gary V doing the absolute best on that one. And then we do have another very, very heartwarming story. If you're familiar with who the Outdoor Boys are, we're going to get into that too. And if you've seen the story, you know exactly what I am talking about. So John Cena out on this farewell tour. Cena, 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 Cena. And like the lines are crazy for this, and just something to keep in mind when you have these different athletes that are retiring. What does it look like for the collectibles market? So let's jump over and look at a couple of these ones from John Cena. Excuse me for the cover. There we go. So from the 2024 set, which traditionally it feels like we have to go back in time for certain cards to find something, right? But the ungraded variation of this Prism John Cena 2024, ungraded $2,250. Now, on the Sports Card Pro site, I just filtered it to the highest prices, but there's ones with John Cena and Roman Reigns. It's out of 10, ungraded, 1,000 buckaroonies on there. I should probably enlarge this so you can actually see what the hell is going on. Yeah, that's a little bit better. But you can see, it's funny, when you have something that is like ungraded going for so much, and then ones that are like straight up PSA 10s are more than that, but obviously that one's an out of one, so very, very different. But again, just scrolling along, what do you think? What do you think the cheapest John Cena card is out there? Because that's actually what we probably should be going to look at. Or actually the biggest change, because it doesn't look like it lets you go from the lowest. We'll see what it pops up. So ungraded, it's went up $34 for a 2023 Panini Revolution Kaboom. Have you noticed the Kaboom cards in general have just been like starting to fly? Every time you go and check out any sort of collectibles news site, it just has Kaboom cards going for crazy and crazier amounts. Yo, Incognito, what's going on? What's the next BAYC? I have no idea. I don't think we even knew that was going to be the case at the time originally, but thanks so much for swinging by the stream. So Andrew, who's a part of the Claynosaurus team, made this post about collectibles. So let's read it and dissect. Collectibles as an asset class make sense now. Not because they're scarce, but because we are. That is a hell of an opening hook. So collectibles as an asset class make sense now, not because they're scarce, but because we are. We've crossed a threshold for the first time in human history. People spend more time being entertained than working, not by accident, by abundance. You stop buying things because you need them. You buy things because they are you. The economy of subsistence is being replaced by an economy of self-expression, and self-expression happens where people actually live on social media, in gaming, in digital communities where they spend 6+ hours a day. This is why Rolex created a waiting list, why Hermes limited production, why Hermes limits production, why luxury spending exploded from $50 billion in 1980 to $580 billion today, while GDP grew 3 times. Nuts when you look at the comparisons between these. And obviously 1980 was quite a while ago, but wow, what a jump. Status goods aren't luxuries. They're infrastructure for telling the world who you are. Collectibles capture this perfectly. They're investments in the things you care about, the stories you believe in, the communities you belong to, the way you want to be perceived. A rare sneaker isn't footwear, it's taste. A limited edition figurine isn't a toy, it's proof of devotion. An in-game skin isn't just an in-app purchase, it's your autobiography. Each is an example of cultural capital. Physical or digital doesn't matter anymore. What matters is where the attention is, and attention has moved. And that's why anytime that you see sort of like a big story, everyone wants to talk about it because they're looking for something that's like new and unique. And all of this is about capturing culture. And again, go on the timeline. Each individual brand, right? And this is for card games, TV shows, whatever. You'll have people that are 100% solely dedicated to covering that topic, where it is literally ingrained in them that they're kind of the world's biggest fan in a way, right? But then they're out there trying to do this content for the other world's biggest fans of the exact same thing that they have an interest in. Collectibles are an asset class with tons of upside. This comes at the cost of liquidity. And on one of the videos that I posted the other day, or live streams, I had somebody that commented saying, well, you know, for trading card games, they can't be an asset because they're biodegradable. I was like, okay, fair enough. But we do have people that are not really caring about that aspect. It's almost kind of in comparison when you see somebody that has a house built like very, very close to water, and you're like, theoretically, that land could get swallowed up by the water. In theory, but hopefully not in our lifetime. Kind of the same thing with a lot of these collectibles. You can own the rarest piece in the world, but if you can't exit, you're just hoarding. Sustainable collectible economies requires building secondary markets from day one. Make it easy to flex. Make it easy to sell. Because in an economy of infinite choice and self-expression, what keeps people coming back isn't the item they own, it's the certainty that they can always become someone else. Collectibles are how we prove who we chose to be. The asset class works now because self-expression isn't a luxury anymore. It's survival in an abundant world. Not a bad article, or I shouldn't even say article. I guess it's just a little bit of a thought-sharing aspect of it. But do you agree with this opening line? Because that's, collectibles as an asset class makes sense now, not because they're scarce, but because we are. I'm going to have to ponder that one a little bit further. So Gary V's out on, what is this, Bloomberg? Talking about collectibles. Interesting timing. What does he got to say?
But I actually think a lot of Fortune 500 companies are going to start using collectibles to drive their day-to-day business.
All right, well, last week, the only thing Katie Greifeld talked about was that rare first edition Superman comic that sold for a record $9.12 million. It highlights the voracious demand for alternative places to park your cash. And it capped off a big week of auctions with paintings by Gustav Klimt, as well as Frida Kahlo, also raking in record-breaking amounts. Our next guest believes collectibles may become the next big pillar of lifestyle spending. Joining us here in studio right now is Gary Vaynerchuk, the chairman and CEO of VaynerX and VaynerMedia. Great to see you here, man.
Great to see you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Let's start off with the Superman. I wasn't actually as surprised by this, but it gets to this idea. I mean, it wasn't just the Superman comic, but we've had other sort of collectibles. And I want to take out the Klimts and the Frida Kahlos, because we know there's always been demand for that type of art. But to see Superman, or to see a gold chain from the hip-hop era get auctioned off at Sotheby's, you're starting to see things, particularly from my generation, that people are valuing in a way that I think if you thought about it maybe 20 years ago, you said, there's no way we're going to see the type of valuations ascribed to those things.
Every meaningful collectible that has been outside of paintings that are sold at Sotheby's, antiques sold 30 years ago at Sotheby's or Christie's, vases, clocks, watches from the late 1800s in Europe, at the time weren't a collectible, right? Trading cards in the 50s in this country, people that are watching right now, as dads had them in their bike spokes or threw them against the wall. New collectibles have always emerged. Humans have always collected. And by the way, contemporary art, go read Boom, go read the history. In the 60s and 70s, people were making fun of the art that was made in New York. Yeah. And that wasn't European art, and now it's selling for 10, Jackson Pollock, Andy Warhol, Basquiat. So, to me, you're right. Yeah. Our generation, I just turned 50 the other day. Yeah. Comic books, trading cards, sneakers. Yeah. We're seeing a new game, but the numbers, look at these numbers on the screen. The numbers are real.
So on the screen here, because this is like sort of hard to see. So the Superman #1 comic earlier this year sold for $9.12 million. Now what's crazy about that in particular is that when you go and you watch the auction clip, they say that the final price is like 6,000 or sorry, 6 million, 7 million, something like that. So it's over $1 million in like the buyer's premium for that, which we can get into the whole auction house discussion, but wow, that's bonkers to me. Action Comics #1 back in 2024 sold for $6 million. Captain America back in 22 sold for 3.12. Amazing Fantasy #15. I don't know what that is. I'm going to assume it's something to do with Marvel, but 3.6 million. And then Batman #1 back in 21 went for 2.22 million. And when you look at this, I mean, if you take out the aspect that the Amazing Fantasy went for, $400,000 more than the one above it, you can see that, the price of all these things are increasing. But at the same time, when you look at it, you're like, all right, well, yeah, the Superman comic probably should sell for more than the other ones just because of like the growth of that itself. But again, massive money.
And I think a lot of people think this is an anomaly or a one-off. I think this is the preview, and I think collecting is now joining fashion, music, sports in the lifestyle genre game. Everyone's collecting something is kind of what I see from 5 to 10 years from now.
I am curious about how you value something. And I know that valuing art has always been more art than science, pun intended. But when you start talking about sneakers or these other sort of more contemporary items, is there sort of a way that we value this, or we're just kind of just playing it as we hear it?
Well, we're playing it like the way everything's always worked. What are two people willing to pay for it?
Yeah.
and who's got the big wallet and who's got the little wallet in that situation. I think this is about demand. I think this is about expression. We live in a social media world where people want to show people what they have. Fashion has always been that. We wear the clothes we want, and why am I wearing this hat? Like, it's all that. I just think that the returns are hard for the audience that watches this show to deny over the last half century, let alone last decade.
Right.
The returns are the returns. Like, at some point, people are gonna be like, this is not silly anymore. People are genuinely interested in these things. Because for me, for example, I'd rather own a trading card or a comic book and have that go up in value than the same equivalent of a stock. 100 shares of Tesla.
So, okay, take that thought, right? Because as soon as he says that, oh yeah, like I'd rather own a trading card that goes up versus a stock, I would have taken that point, and if you said like connect the dots and you had a bunch of other demographics across from it, Gary Vee being one and younger people being another and whatever else, I would connect the dots between that statement with younger people. Now, maybe Gary's just a younger mind and likes collectibles as a whole, right? But I kind of agree with the thought around it of like, yeah, people just like what they like, and if they're not brought up being taught about certain things, right? Because thinking about the broader spectrum of finance, right? Going back to high school, and everybody's probably different on that, but I don't think they taught you like a single thing about investing, or at least like my school didn't, like in any capacity. And so when I finished high school and I'm watching Twitch, different streamers, I'm getting advertisements about, oh yeah, go into these stocks, get into this, that, and the other thing. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, I guess there's that world out there. But the financial literacy of things, if you're not taught it, well, okay, you're just going to end up gravitating to whatever you're introduced with. And for so many people, that was having these things that are just nostalgic that suddenly we look at and say, oh my goodness, these have some sort of value on top of the fact that it's giving us nostalgia. So this guy's on the side of a court ripping Topps basketball pack for 2025. And I just think, listen, we bring these up all the time, but it's so funny, the different lengths that we're going to just have pack rips in the weirdest of locations. So speaking of nostalgia, the SpongeBob yogurt tubes. I have to admit, I don't think I remember these specific yogurt tubes, but with collectibles in mind, what would you pay for a still sealed SpongeBob SquarePants yogurt tube in 2025? Assuming these, I mean, it's so... the text is so worn out or the photos is so blurry. This is the 8th of October. I want to say like 2013. Probably older. So 2013 SpongeBob yogurt tubes. What are the thoughts? So here's your feel-good story of the day. You might be familiar with this. If you're not familiar with who this YouTuber is, highly recommend you check them out just for something to throw on your TV. Super quality content, to be honest. But anyway, so Outdoor Boys, Luke Nichols stepped in to film a full video for My Life Outdoors as the creator focuses on caring for his wife during her cancer diagnosis. The upload shows Nichols taking an overnight Alaska snowstorm with no tent or sleeping bag, and we got a little bit of a clip from that. So again, here's your good story with Luke.
Hello, my name is Luke Nichols, and this is the My Life Outdoors YouTube channel. And no, you're not imagining things. This is not my YouTube channel. Some of you guys may have heard that Steven's wife was recently diagnosed with cancer. So right now, Steven's got a lot on his plate, taking care of his wife and his 4 kids. So I thought I might step in and do a little YouTube video for him so he can worry about one thing at a time. And so here I am in the interior of Alaska with no tent, no sleeping bag, and I'm gonna be sleeping in the middle of a snowstorm. I've got about 2 hours to build a shelter and gather enough firewood to last me 17 hours of darkness. Oh, and because this is Steven's channel, I will be doing a little bit of gear review along the way. So come along for the ride. It's gonna be a good time. Hello, my
So again, just super cool to see. And yo, Tom, what's up? What's up? How are we doing? And so is this. I do think that we just have the combination of every single brand. Magic the Gathering, they have this set called Secret Lair, where essentially they just partner up with different IPs to have cards redone that already exist, but in the way of these various IP. If you remember the Lord of the Rings set, that one was very well known specifically because Post Malone, the musician, bought the card that was like the one-of-one ring. Somebody pulled it, and I think they paid $2 million for the card, which is crazy. The Avatar set just came out. Final Fantasy not that long ago. There's Fallout. All of the brands. Listen, you just feel something when you see certain brands, and it's seeping towards everything. Are you somebody who uses the Brave browser? Nobody Sausage donning their brand on the Brave browser, which is not the first time that we've come across this. You might be familiar that a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, Doodles was was the brand that was all over the Brave browser. So interesting. I do think to like an extent, like, do you feel that it takes away something when you have a cool collab or something and then immediately like another brand does that exact same thing from sort of the same category of like entertainment? I don't really mind it. I just feel people would discredit it because of that aspect. Netflix has released Stranger Things Fireplace. It's 1 hour long and features the buyer's house. So I checked this out to make sure it was legit. If you just type in Stranger Things, obviously, it's like the second or third option where I think it's about an hour and 5 minutes and just the fireplace is going. But it's totally legit. So if you're a fan of Stranger Things and wanting to experience that, well, you're able to do so. We're going to get to some of the Stranger Things cards in a moment. But before that, we looked at Gary V and his whole VFriends, right? That's the collection that he's been working on, or the brand. And within that brand, similar to how Pokemon has Pikachu, in VFriends world, the main character, if you will, is a cat. And so this cat, that is a 1/1, 9.5 gem mint, sold for over $62,000. Holy suffering succotash. Now, the funny part with this card in particular, because I remember doing a video on the live stream before, but the way that they changed the rarity, you know how in like a lot of cards they'll have, let's just say this is like a silver border, they'll have one that's like gold, they'll have one that's blue, whatever. What they did for these is they just changed like the color of the eyes. So you'll find ones, and each is like very specific. So these aren't the right numbers, but hypothetically, the green one would be out of like 20, the orange one would be out of 50, and all that kind of stuff. So it was sort of, I guess, clever, but at the same time, there was a big social post at a point when one of like the rarest eye colors got sold as like a normal priced card of that. And And I think even Gary responded being like, oh, yeah, I guess they don't know. Stranger Things is coming to theaters for the final episode, which is also kind of bonkers. But as I've mentioned, and have been mentioning, it's like, man, the Stranger Things collectible space has got to heat up if this season is good. And man, it's good. I've rewatched it twice now. I didn't like the first episode initially of like the new one, but I'm like, no. I was just being way too judgmental. I think the last season been really, really quality. But anyway, so Stranger Things, the 2025's tops high-tech Stranger Things. For the first time ever, Stranger Things meets top high-tech with this set that features all new acetate cards of fan favorite characters and moments from the past 4 seasons of Stranger Things. Collect 50 base set cards across 4 unique high-tech patterns: Hawkins, Lab, Vines, Upside Down, Xmas Lights, as well as thematic inserts such as Glam, Static Age, and Stranger Things Compendium. We're going to have to do like a series about this because I am confuzzled. Because I'll admit, I don't know what high tech is, but it sounds like it is a side brand similar to what Secret Lair is to Magic the Gathering. And we know that Topps has released cards for Stranger Things before, but they did it with Zero Cool, which coincidentally did a drop with VFriends as well. But Zero Cool doesn't exist anymore. They did a Jackass brand, they did a Stranger Things one, and they did a VFriends one. I want to say that those are actually the only 3 IPs they've done. Don't quote me on that. But is High Tech the newly branded Zero Cool? That's what we'll have to look at. But these are sold out, so they had a hobby box and then one that was a sealed case. They have one of like the Demogorgon characters on the front of it, but they also have a breakdown on the brand history. So look at that. We get education. Phenomenal. So the debut is in 2025. The licensors are Netflix, and the value level is elevated. Okay. High Tech is a legacy Topps brand that originated with 1998 Topps Tech. Okay, we're learning. So this has been around for a while, and I don't think should be compared to what Zero Cool was. Introducing one of the first products fully printed on see-through acetate technology. As the tech brand evolved, it became renowned for its strong checklist featuring a wide variety of unique patterns and parallels utilizing this distinctive technology. Now that history is being brought to bear on Netflix Stranger Things universe with the 2025 Topps high-tech Stranger Things set, who is Topps Stranger Things intended for? The product is designed for the dedicated Stranger Things collector seeking a truly unique card release, as it marks the first ever Stranger Things set on acetate technology. I feel like I'm saying that wrong. This release is packed with new content and autographs from the core cast, recapping the first 4 seasons of the show. So why does it matter? High Tech is significant because it revives the original partnership between Stranger Things and the Topps brand. Okay, so there we go, because that Zero Cool situation, while leveraging the show's nostalgic 1980s theme on modern trading card technology with more consistent hit content. It's a stylish product among Topps non-sports collectibles that delivers a range of fantastic designs and rare pulls for dedicated fans. So what are you chasing in it? Collectors can pursue a number of tiered patterns appearing at different pack rates, colorful parallels, and case hits such as Glam, Static, and more. The primary chase, however, will always be the cast autographs, offering substantial value with approximately 1 autograph in every box on average. See, these are like the sort of things where it's like, okay, so this is a set not very familiar with. We have an article with like 5 paragraphs that breaks down everything. Absolutely love it. Steve Harrington, they got the signature. Eddie Munson, Vecna, and they only highlight 3 cards on there. Very interesting. But that's something that I'm going to have to do a deep dive on, because those cards, listen, I didn't even realize they were having a 2025 release, and the fact that they're already sold out is bonkers banana pants. But that's it for this edition of XFeed. Hope you guys liked it. Again, any shares, likes, comments are greatly appreciated if you're wanting to support the stream at all as well. On YouTube, I think we have it where it's like $2.99 a month for the membership. So if you're wanting to support the stream at all, and then over on Twitch, we do have just, normal Twitch subscriptions if you're interested in that. But also, if you're interested in more content, we do the RWA SegMints Podcast, where we talk with the best and brightest minds within the space. On the previous recording, I can't give too much away, but was talking with Mr. John Lemon from the Doge Pound, and they're getting into some very interesting things on top of like gifts, and there was a couple of brands you're like, we are not able to tell the lowdown. So keep an eye on that. We dig into what they are doing in terms of the Giphy game. We've seen a lot of brands really try to enhance their brand by being one of the top options. When you're talking with somebody, when you type in and you want to send a gift to somebody, everybody's fighting for that, and the Doge Pound is jumping into it. The link's down in the description down below. That episode is going to be released tomorrow, but you can find all the other goodies from the past. I think we're at like 60 plus episodes, which is crazy bonkers. But incognito, Tom, thank you for coming on through. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.